It's Monday, August 14, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Thanks for joining us. I am Fernella Wedderburn. Society's inaction and that of governments are to blame for the current spate of gun violence in Barbados. So says Anglican Reverend Hugh Sandiford, who told the Barbados Defence Force 38th anniversary church service yesterday that the writing was on the wall some 20 years ago. However, in his sermon to worshippers at the St. Matthias Anglican Church, which included Prime Minister Frondell Stewart, the Reverend said the solution to gun violence currently plaguing the country lies with the people.
Our appeal to meet force with force will not solve the problem. It might win the battle, but the war can only be won if we as a people, as citizens of Barbados, stand together and correct this systemic flaw. All of us have roles to play if we are to overcome this. We can no longer just simply cower and hide and hope that something brings it to an end. We must use our influence as church. We must use our influence as families. We must use our influence as communities. The greater part of the approximate 290,000 people which call Barbados our home are not involved in these gun-related activities. So if we use our spheres of influence, because these same perpetrators are our children, they live within our communities. It starts with each and every one of us. We sat and did nothing 20 years ago.
Chief of Staff Lieutenant Colonel Glyne Granham, who also addressed the service, says his officers stand ready to serve and defend the country in the face of the gun scourge.
This anniversary of the Barbados Defence Force is indeed different from what we have been accustomed to in the past. In recent times, the landscape of our precious island has been plagued by the deviancy of groups who seek to destabilize the peace and tranquility of our nation, to tarnish this gem of the Caribbean. The Barbados Defence Force shall be resolute in our operations to defend this country and support our national development. We shall stand together and remain committed to fulfilling our mission to defend and secure Barbados, its interests, including that of public safety.
In other news, this Monday, there is a call for government to disclose the details and process for the sale of the Hilton Hotel and any other state assets. It's coming from opposition Barbados Labour Party Shadow Tourism Minister Ronald Toppin, who says the call for transparency comes in the wake of questions surrounding the recent sale of the Blue Horizon Hotel. Government in the recent budget disclosed that the Barbados Hilton was valued at $100 million US. But Toppin says the BLP wants to know what is the process in forming the sale, who is doing the independent evaluations, and where the hotel is being advertised for sale. He says Finance Minister Chris Sinclair must provide those answers before any further action is taken, as there should be no doubt in any Barbadian's mind that the acceptable international criteria and standards are being followed in securing the best deal for the country and its citizens. Meantime, the government is banking on the sale of the Hilton Hotel and that of BNTCL to boost its foreign reserves. Acting Central Bank Governor Clivingston Haynes, in his economic review of the first half of the year, revealed the economy remained very challenged, with international reserves plummeting to $635.5 million, or just 9.7 weeks of import at the end of June. Haynes says even if the reserves should rise in the third quarter, they were expected to dip again at the end of the year.
My current estimate is that we would still be below. I believe that where we would want to be, certainly by the end of the fiscal year, with the proceeds from the BNTCL and from the Hilton, is that we would be somewhere around the level that we were at the end of March this year. Clearly, there there's a lot of fluidity because one is not totally sure of the full impact of the, let's say, taxes like the NSRL and what that will do to overall spending. The greater the contraction in spending, then the potential for a larger buildup of reserves. The smaller the impact on spending, then the smaller the impact on our reserves. But the critical things, the critical assumptions underpinning a reversal of the reserve situation are being able to get the proceeds from the BNTCL and the Hilton by the end of the financial year.
Barbados recorded its 17th road fatality over the weekend. 35-year-old Shane Jamal Bell lost his life in the wee hours of Saturday morning along Dash Valley Road, St. George. Bell was driving along the road with two friends when he lost control of the car, which struck an embankment and overturned. His friends, 24-year-old Michael Payne, sustained a broken right arm and bruises to the head, while 22-year-old Rashid Phillips suffered multiple injuries about the body. Meantime, a 40-year-old motorcyclist, Richard Roach of St. Simon, St. Andrew, is nursing several injuries following an accident in St. Lucie. Police say Roach was riding along Allendale Road yesterday afternoon when he collided with a van driven by Jennifer Hamilton William of Trent's Drive, St. Lucie. Roach was transported to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital for treatment. Sports now, and a stunning win for Trinidad and Tobago in London. The men's 4x400 meters relay team stunned favourites the United States to lift the title yesterday. The Trinidadians copped gold in 2 minutes 58.12 seconds, while the United States secured silver in 2 minutes 58.61 seconds. Britain was third in 2 minutes 59 seconds.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Who call and get your yams and potatoes? Wait, my girl, how you want to see you for long?
I can't. How you keeping? But you don't sell the nation paper no more.
But that paper is selling. This must know it stop selling that. Look, one time I would have made a little dollar on the Sunday sun. But when Sunday night, I still trying to get the weather there.
Well, you know you can't call that the Sunday sun no more. You gotta call that Sunset News. Cause at no time that news stale.
People complain that them ain't got nothing in it to read and the price keep going up all the time. A woman abused me so sick the other day, tell me that she does read Barbados today online for free. I can't take that abusing soul, so I switched to my potatoes and yams.
Well, let me tell you, if pork selling, you got to raise pigs. How much for the yams?
Oh, 75 cents a pound.
But that's cheaper than that stale news. Give me...
How much you want?
a pound.
Only a pound? Anyhow, these eating real good. Let me wrap them up for you. Come.
The Barbados Today, news you can trust.
The Bahamas is not a free zone for illegals to come to work. That warning from the Immigration Enforcement Unit as it carried out its zero-tolerance stance to persons hiring illegals and those without the required working permits. We hear more from the head of the unit, Kirkland Neely, in this ZNS report.
We have to let Bahamians know, man, those days gone long time ago, okay? You can't have people coming in the country doing job what Bahamians could do. And so we're trying to stand that out so they can see our presence all around the Bahamas and in Nassau. No places are off limit to us, okay? We have to send a message that the Bahamas is not the free zone for illegals to come and work.
Neely had this sobering advice for business owners.
Just a charge in the act for employees operating with illegal persons.
In some of these cases, were they just people who did not have any permission to work, or were they expired permits?
Well, in some cases, people who have expired permit and people who are working without any legal documents at all.
Those businesses in violation will be placed before the courts and if found guilty, fined.
They need to start concentrating on hiring Bahamians, plain and simple.
And finally, on the international scene, rescue officials in India, including the army, are searching for survivors amid mud and debris after a massive landslide in the north of the country. The landslide, triggered by days of heavy rain, swept 2 packed buses off a hillside, killing at least 45 people. 5 people have been rescued with severe injuries. Officials say the death toll could rise as some people were still missing. And that's news, but there is more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals and screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And don't forget, Mix 96.9 FM has the very latest. I'm Frenella Wedderburn. Good morning.